looking good. This is my gardening gear out there today in the garden. I had a good time. Good time. I had a good time. I just saw Lead Farmer 73 put out a video, and it was just fascinating to me because he was talking about raspberry bushes, or raspberries, and I couldn't believe that I have had raspberries all these years, and that some people had a difficult time growing them. I bought mine maybe 5 or 6 years ago. It was one or two plants, I think it was. Um, what I paid $6, $4 for them, something like that. And when I bought these plants, I put them in the yard in a nasty side of the yard with all the clay soil and I didn't think much of the plants. I was like, well, if they live, they live. If they don't, they don't. That's back in the day when I had the clay soil in that area of the yard. Um, so I put them in. All right, how you doing? How you doing? What's up? What's up? I put the raspberries in the nasty clay soil. Big, huge worms over in that area. They just love that area, that clay. And before I knew it, a couple of years later, there was 10 plants, and then 30, and then 40, and now I think I got close to about 90 plants. But they didn't stay in that one area. The raspberries, when you put them in the ground, they move around on you. All the ones I've owned move around. I've owned more different varieties of them, and they do move around. Hello, Morning Garden Show. Hello, hello. Oh man. But and it was just a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing. Now I have raspberries around. They completely surrounded the pear tree. They completely surrounded another area over there near the compost pile. So in other words, they're not really in the area where they used to be when I first put them in. They move where they want, and they are 3 feet tall. This particular variety, I did nothing to them this year. They're 3 feet tall. Well, what I did do was fertilize and water them. I actually did a feed and water this morning because if you feed your plants and water your plants will respond in kind, and that's what happened. The raspberries did extremely well, and I'm happy with them. Now they're putting on their growth, and the main thing I can do right now is keep them fed so that they produce big, juicy raspberries. That's what I want. I don't want them small. Uh, the more you put in, the better off your plants do. I just finished picking a whole bunch of cherries. I gave to someone because I just didn't feel like eating them. I just didn't. And now they're doing much better. Since because I mean the birds, I left enough in there for the birds to eat, but there's a whole bunch of cherries that I picked. A whole bunch. I took my time and picked the best quality ones. Yeah. Now that being said, I fed all my plants this morning, um, and I had one plant that I took out of a styrofoam cup. I found that if you get the 15 or 20 ounce styrofoam cups, poke one single hole in the bottom of them with an ink pen, and you grow your plants in there like cucumber, squash, watermelon, cantaloupe. You're going to need a cup that big and that deep because of the root systems they have. So I learned something from that. I was putting them in for years. I used to put them in those little 3 inch cups, 3 inch containers, about 2 inches deep, 2.5 inches deep, and 3 inches across. As far as the diameter of the cup. I don't do that anymore because their roots curl around, and then when you take them out and put them in there, the plant is somewhat dwarfed. So I don't want to do that. I put them in a cup now and let them run all the way down to the bottom. 3 seeds. When you do 3 seeds, you're going to get two, and then sometimes just one will come up for some reason. but I had much success doing it that way. So next year, when you come into spring, try that. Try that. Try give that a try. I still make my own medium. Excuse me. I still make my own medium. I don't buy seed starter mix. Seed starter mix is too easy to make. But yeah, so that's how you do that. That's exactly how you do that. You make it work for you, and you save cost. You save cost. Let's see what else. Pretty soon I'll be everything will start coming in. The corn I fed and watered today. Corn is a funny thing. If you don't feed it, you're just gonna basically get tall grass. It's an extraordinarily heavy feeder. So keep that in mind if you grow any corn. Watermelon is the same way. So I fed the watermelon as well. Everything is standing up. It's looking good. The watermelons, some of them that started vining out. What's up, bruh? Yeah. So that being said, that's what's happening. I'm looking good. I got everything growing. Yeah. I was just talking about raspberries. I was just saying, I don't, I really don't, I just don't feel like it this year. Yeah, I gave I gave it to somebody else. That's what I did. That's what I did with those cherries. Somebody else was like, oh my God, cherries. Yeah. And I said, okay, there you go. I took my time picking the cherries. I think I did like maybe 4 pounds of them. And that was it. A lot of them were left on there, but I got tired of picking them. So I said, that's enough. Wow. Cherries. Mm, beautiful thing. Frozen. Okay. Yeah, I guess you can freeze them. Yeah, you can freeze them. Of course you can. But it was a lot of them there. So I gave them to somebody that wants them. So that's how I feel about it. And I don't have to deal with them. I don't have to have them go to waste either. Just growing them for the birds. And then now right behind those is the blueberry. Oh, thank you very much. I'm glad you followed the channel as well. Let's see. You say you lost me. No, I'm still here. I'm doing good. The blueberries are right behind those. The raspberries are coming in. Um, the grapes are looking good. I'm going to add two more grapevines, and I'm gonna grow. Hello, love your videos. Oh, thank you, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Um, I'm going to grow the two more grapevines, and they're going to be free. And I'm waiting for the fall come once they drop the leaves, and I'm going to cut me a couple of pieces off and stick them in the ground and grow them right next to two of my cherry trees, and that's how I'm going to grow them. And that's how you do that. And then you grow lots and lots and lots of grapes. Grapes are definitely a plus when you grow them. And so I added two to my arsenal. I added two red grapes. There are two, wait a minute, one, two, three, three white grapes. One is a big, huge white grape that grows seedless, and I want that. It's called, see, I knew I shouldn't have did that, try to mention the name of it. I have so much growing on my property that I don't know the names of all the right offhand. Sometimes I think it's Neptune. Yeah, Neptune grape. Big, huge table grape. Big uh, white grape that is ready to you know do what I needed to do. So I'm growing it right now for parts. I need a couple of vines off of it, so I'm going to add a little bit of blood meal to it so they can vine out real good. Uh, that's mainly what you're going to get when you get. Oh, and I did another thing. I fed my fruit trees because I need my fruit trees to. I need them to produce the fruit, and sometimes you got to give them a nice little feeding to get them. Are the Neptune grapes new to your garden this year? No, no, they're not new. No, I had them. God, I want to say I put them in 2 years ago, and I don't think it was 2 years. I think it's the second year. Might be the God, man. And it took a long time to get this Neptune up to get any size because uh, it's growing healthy now. But last year, it was fighting to survive, um, and I think most of that had to do with the fact that I kind of wasn't watering it. And the reason why that stuff happens is that um, I'm like you are. In a lot of ways. I've got a lot of misinformation over the years about certain things about gardening. And, there's so much of it out there that, a lot of us are all over the place when it comes to growing things. Because somebody said this, and somebody said plant it this deep, and somebody said feed it this, and somebody said water it these many times a month or a week or whatever. It's not necessarily true, the stuff that they're telling you. And that's why I said what I said about a couple of weeks ago. I said, do me a favor. If people could stop telling people how to grow stuff, if they haven't been growing this stuff for a number of years and got some marks under their belt, they know what they're doing and know what they're saying, they shouldn't be telling people stuff. They should say, this is how I grow it. This is what I do. And that way you can make the distinction whether or not you want to follow that program. I'll give you a good example. I started feeding all of my in-ground plants from the top down. Now, some people say, "Why don't you dig the hole and mix up the fertilizer in the hole and do it in that fashion?" No, I don't do that anymore because I learned that it's so wrong. It just doesn't. There's no words for it. It's just wrong. What you want to do is put your plant in the ground. The plant will become familiar with the soil. You put your fertilizer around the plant, we call a side dressing, and then you put your manure, your compost around the plant. Now, why are you doing it? People say, well, why are you doing it that way? And because everything naturally falls down towards the roots. If you put something underneath of a plant, it's going to continue to fall down. It's going to keep falling through the soil. You don't want that. You want it to fall in the direction of your plant's roots. Every single time it rains or every single time you water it, that's what you want to happen. Now, that being said, I've been doing that for the last 3 years. Much success. Much success. And my tomatoes right now look so pretty. It does make sense. They're standing up and everything. And they weren't doing that until I watered them this morning, which every time I water the plant or it rains, they get fed. So Why would you say this is important? Well, plants eat like we do. They don't eat once a week. We don't eat once a week. I don't know why people have been saying that for years. Feed them once a week. Feed them every 3 days. Feed them. That's, come on. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I My plants look great. My plants look absolutely great. I haven't put any updated pictures on what's going on, but I will soon. Um, Beautiful. My plants look beautiful. It's because of the way that I'm fertilizing them now. I'm not just uh, putting it in the soil and stirring it up and sitting it on top of it. I've heard people say that. The only fertilizer I would put in the ground, and it's because you kind of have to, and that's if you have the fish head or fish guts. I will put them in the ground because if you leave it on top, everything in the forest or everything in your area is going to come around and eat that stuff, and you don't need that. But if you want much success, remember when you water your plants, you give them some water. You don't flood them out because flooding them out means that you're drowning the plant. Yeah, I use rainwater only because rainwater is naturally balanced for your plant. And the oh my God, let me tell you something else. It also helps immaculately. It just does a crazy job to your water bill. Your water bill. You don't even feel it when you water with that. If you had a creek next to your garden and a 12-volt battery and a shore pump, you could pump that water into your garden. But I would not use water from my house because let me tell you something. Uh, I have so many worms in my garden now. Oh, speaking of which, I took this off of there today off my water hose and put on my what they call that thing? Um, Put on my feeding system. Hook that up to it. I don't have it up here right now. It's downstairs. But at any rate, you use a pump and you pump the water from either a stream or you pump it from uh, rain barrels. You save money. That's the whole trick. I think to gardening is part of it. Is you save money. You don't want to be. You don't want to have a $40 water bill once a month, and you start putting your garden in. It goes to 85 a month, and then it goes up to 110 and all that because you got to water your trees and your bushes and your vegetables. You don't want to be doing that because now it's getting costly to garden. You don't want that. You want to keep costs down. Um, I started buying all of my seeds for my fall garden now. I'm buying them now because I need to get them now. Because when fall hit, I'm planting my fall garden now. Collard greens and kale, they're going to be dominating on my property because you can't get enough of that food. That food keeps you healthy and it keeps you out of the hospital and keeps you away from the doctor. And that's what you want. Let's see. You say burrows? Yeah, yeah. I got my rain barrels for, I think I bought one for $5. And then there was a neighbor who gave me one. What can I use to kill or deter hedgehogs? Groundhogs, excuse me. Groundhogs. Groundhog. That's a good question. I'm not familiar with that animal, first of all, and there should be a ton of videos on YouTube to help you out. Let me tell you what I did. I did what you did. There's a hose system. Oh my God, I wish I knew what the name it was. It's a hose system that ties into the gutter of your house. It does a beautiful job. Because last thing I wanted to do was get these barrels and cut them all up, and they have them leaking and all that kind of stuff. I didn't want to do that. So what I did is I see up at the top where everything plugs in. I turned them upside down, and all of they had parts that were at where were these parts at? They were PVC parts that were at like Home Depot, and it's screwed in there. Like some nice. Then I glued the pipes together, making what they call like a manifold system. I put them on cinder blocks, two bricks deep, and that's so it'll build up a pressure in the tank. So when you open the ball valve and use a ball valve, don't use that little one with the wheel. Don't do that. That thing it'll wear out and it'll be leaking and all. You don't need all that. Ball valves, I glued everything together. You know how you tie the PVC together with the glue that they come with. I mean, you got to buy it, separate, and you put all that stuff together. And when you get it together, you will thank yourself. I have two barrels. If I ever need more, I got my system set up where I could cut off, put a coupler, tie them together, and put two more containers out there. And that way I have 200 gallons of water. Now you imagine a house with 200 gallons of water sitting right outside the window. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And if you don't want the color of the barrels are blue, then paint them white or paint them gray. Whatever your house is color, paint them so you kind of hide them a little bit. They don't just stand out. You paint them, and they look better. I left mine blue because I'm a guy, and I was like, this is okay. Yep. Oh, valves. Yeah, I like the ball valves. I got them. They were like $1 and something. A 3/4 inch was what I got. The piping and everything was 3/4 inch. That's what I wanted. And I put everything together. And once I did that, and some people buy the barrels on Craigslist, but you want food grade barrels. You don't want somebody that had gasoline in or something. You know what I mean? Or some kind of chemicals. So at any rate, you get the barrels, you put them up, set them up, and you just enjoy your life. And after you have a rain out there, and it rains for like you have to test it out a couple of times. Cut your ball barrels, shut them off, and let the rain kind of fill them up and see if they're leaking anywhere. And if they are, you get that rubber spray that's at Home Depot. They always got the guy on the commercial. You just spray it on and it seals. It seals. You get that crap, and then you spray it, and it'll seal up the leaks if you got any. I had a couple of leaks in one area of mine, and I just went ahead and sealed it. It's been sealed up now for going on about 3 years. So $4, $5 investment, sealed it up, and once I did that, I go out there. Like the day I had the pump, I got what you call a sure flow pump. I always buy 100 pounds PSI. Now, when I first bought that pump was something. It was pumping out water. Now that it's gotten older, about 6 years old, well, yeah, about 5, 6 years old, it doesn't pump out strong like it used to. But I don't care because I know how to go to the store and get another one. Well, on eBay and get another one. That's right. Buy that pump. 12 volt, 100 PSI Sure Flow pump. Don't get the other ones because I don't know what them things do. The Sure Flow is nice because when you let the hose go, it shuts the pump off. Once it builds up to the inside that hose gets to 60 pounds psi, which is 60 pounds per square inch, it shuts the pump off, and then it sprays only when you pull back the handle on the water hose, and that's how that works. So it's a beautiful thing, folks. And then when you finish using it, you just simply stop using it. And me, I always disconnect the 12-volt battery. This is something I do because one time I came outside and something had popped loose. It was easy to fix, but the water was just running, and the pump was underwater, and so was the battery. So I said, "Uh-oh," because I keep mine in a container, one of them totes that they have at Walmart. I put a hole in this and a hole in that in, so I can run the hose out that way, and run the out the other side. I can run the hose right into run it right into the tanks, or what they call a 55-gallon, uh, you know, tanks. And so it's a beautiful thing. When you get them set up, you're gonna feel good because two things you can do. Anything ever get funny outside, now you don't want to drink the water coming off the roof of your house. But if push came to shove, they got this little device that screws on into the opening you have, and it filters that water coming out. You can live for a few days off of 100 gallons of water. You can live for a few days off of that. If they ever messed up the water or poisoned it or ever damage to the water system in your area, you're gonna still have water in those tanks, and they're gonna fill up every time it rains. To keep the pump dry. To keep the pump dry. Well, my pump and everything is in a tote. It's got a lid on it. Put the lid on it. It can rain outside and everything, and the pump is right inside that tote with the battery sitting in there with the deep cycle battery. That's the battery you need. A deep cycle 12-volt battery. And after you charge it up with a little 12-volt trickle charger or a regular 12-volt charger, you want that basically you can water your garden probably all week or longer than that. I've never had the battery go dead on me, but you can probably water for a good week and a half without charging it. But when you charge that battery, you get a nice, strong flow. And I got 100 foot of hose running from it, running it uphill, so it's no big deal. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, so my plants respond when you give them rainwater. It's a different game. It's a different deal I'm working with. I just want everything with my plants to be natural. That's why when I grow my collard greens and my kale, when you eat them, you feel this burst of energy. And that's what you feel because the energy's there. I mean, I'm feeding these plants um, compost. I'm feeding them cow manure. I'm feeding them organic, all-purpose plant food. Um, and you really don't need to do any of that. All you got to do is make up a tea, a tea out of weeds and grass. You can do that. I mean, it depends on how much time you have. I don't have a great deal of time this year, so I didn't make too much this year. I just tried to, get it. But you could do this stuff, and when you do that, collard greens will grow big and bold. I mean, I had leaves that were that big across, that were almost 15 inches across, leaves, and big, pretty, dark, almost green blue leaves because they were getting everything they needed. And I stayed on them and I watched them and I checked them every day, and got out there and look at plants and look at what's going on with them. And like I saw the pepper plant today, they had slight yellowing in it. I know what that is. It's no big deal to me. I just went ahead and gave it some nitrogen, and that'll green up real pretty. But the plant was healthy. It's just that it was like, them leaves sometimes the leaves will tell you what's going on with your plants. All you gotta do is look at them. You see spots on them, there's something going on with some kind of virus or bacteria going on. And if you got a problem with yellowing, sometimes it could be iron deficiency, sometimes it could be nitrogen deficiency. It might be something else. But pay attention to that. But we supposed to got some rain, water, and weeds. Let it sit a few weeks. Yeah, that's it. It sounds like you already know a lot of this stuff. So yeah, that's it. That's it right there. Um, and if you get all them flies in it, all these flies are getting. If you leave the lid off of, you get a 30. You want to do it right. You get a 32-gallon trash can. You put it a quarter of the way up, quarter, not half, but quarter of the way up with weeds and grass and stuff like that. And then you let it fill up, or you fill it up with rainwater. You let it fill up. Now, once you fill it up, you will have one big heavy trash can sitting there, plastic from Walmart or wherever you get the trash can from. Oh wait a minute, I got mine at Home Depot. Okay, so you set it out there, and it'll get all these flies in it. All these little tiny little flies be all in it. And you'll think, oh my God, this is nasty. I better throw this away. No, you better not. The flies didn't do nothing but make that fertilizer better. That's all they did. So you get the all that juice, you stir it up every once in a while. You stir it up, and once you do that, you take one part of, if you want to use it, you're gonna put in a gallon jug. If you're using that, one part of the liquid, and you're gonna use 10 parts of water. I use rainwater, and once you do that, you pour that around your plants like collard greens and what they call the pepper plants, onions, garlic, whatever you got out there, tomatoes, and it'll grow like crazy. It'll grow just like it'll grow better than if you went at a store and bought some fertilizer. But they don't want to tell you that. They don't want to tell you that. Nobody wants to give you the truth and have you wake up and start doing stuff the right way. Nobody needs you to do that, because when I wake you up, I can't make no money off of you. I need you to stay confused and in the dark so that I can make this money off of you. Every time you come in them box stores and you buying a tomato plant and you paying $4 for it, $3 for it, you making me money. You making me money. Now, if you know how to grow your own seeds, you would go, wait a minute, I don't want the hybrid seeds. I want the heirloom seeds. I can regrow those. And see, now you put the person out of business that's selling you seeds, because he can no longer sell you seeds anymore. Once you get, a few varieties of tomatoes that you like, you start collecting the seeds and you save them. The same thing with your cucumbers. You find heirloom cucumbers that you like, and you start saving seeds on these babies. Same thing goes with your what do they call them things? Your squash and your watermelon and your cantaloupe, and that's what you do. Well, it's excuse me. I try to do what works. And I was that guy one time where they made money off of me every year. I was addicted to gardening, and I used to go out and buy and every all this stuff, and any little new gadget would make me buy it, or if they told me something different, they say, buy this new like one guy. I said a guy delivered to me once. It was a landscaper, and he delivered to me about 900 pounds of leaves, and we had to use a tractor to drag it up to area I needed in a tarp. And I was worried about something. He was knocking over trees that I had planted. And he was driving on my soil with a heavy tractor, and I didn't like that. So I said, I got to come up with a different option. So we dumped the thing out, and he would come back and roll over in my yard. Sometime I wasn't there, and he would roll up there and dump it and damage plants and stuff. So I said, okay. Uh, so one day he just stopped coming. He figured, I can't do this no more. I'm getting older. I can't do it anymore. So here's what happened. Long story short. Hello. All right. My family garden. All right. So what happened was this. I started using chop and drop. I tell this story all the time. I didn't really think chop and drop. I'm doing fine in you. And when I started using blah, 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 chop and drop, I really didn't have a lot of faith in it because I've been duped by everything, and I've made a lot of mistakes, and I did this and that, and none of this stuff worked. And then it was every time you turn on YouTube, it was somebody telling you something different. You should plant it to the left. You should plant it to the right. You should plant it in a bottle. You should plant it in a boot. They were just telling you all kind of stuff. And then you would go and you would get books from the stores and you would look through it. And the first thing it says is, remember when you're tilling your soil. And then another person says, don't till your soil because you're ripping up and damaging the biology in the soil. So I said, wait a minute, I need to stop. Something needs to stop here. I don't know which way to turn now. What am I going to do? Then they tell you, oh, by the way, get Miracle Grow. I grew big, pretty tomatoes that weighed 8, 9 pounds. Use Miracle Grow. So you go get the Miracle Grow and and so you're all over the place. So what I did is I'm walking from fishing one evening. Didn't catch anything. Got to looking at the forest because I was walking past it. And I looked at it and I said, wow, nobody brings fertilizer out here. Nobody tills. Nobody does nothing. But everything grows. Look how dark green these trees are. Look how dark green these bushes and vines are. Look at them. They're everywhere. And then that's when I came to the conclusion that everything that Mother Nature was doing was running on a cycle. We were fertilizing in the spring and summer, and Mother Nature was fertilizing in the fall and winter. Huh? Interesting. So, what was she using for fertilizer? Tree branches, leaves, weeds that die because of the cold, and they go back into the ground and they come back the next year. The seeds were being dropped on the surface, and they were regrowing. They weren't being dug and buried in the ground. They were being dropped on the surface, and they came back. And they were being dropped on the surface in the fall, not in the spring. So, okay, so that was being done. And then I started to wake up and I said, wait a minute, I got it now. So I knew one thing I had plenty of on my property, and that was weeds. I had lots of weeds. And I said, how can I deal with these weeds? Because I was getting to get one of those big tarps that you just lay on the ground and you lay it on the ground and everything dies underneath of it. And when you pull it up in the spring, you got all kind of snakes and all kind of dead weeds underneath. And as soon as the sun hit the weeds, they start growing back. So I said I don't want to do that. Invest in a expensive tarp and go through that nightmare. I said I don't want to do that. So here's what I did. I went and got a weed trimmer, and its sole job was to cut down weeds in any part of my yard and leave them laying on the surface. And that's what I did. So I stayed on them. I cut them down. I stayed on them, and they would grow. And sometimes they would get outlandish. They would just grow. They would just go crazy. Sometimes the weeds would go crazy. When they were vines and they were bushes and everything, they were just going crazy. Um, uh, so when that took place, I said, I got it now. I understand. And I started growing things moving the weeds back far enough so that they wouldn't interfere with my crop, which was about, I found that 15 inches was a good, you know, spectrum to work from right there. So I would just move them back, and in the center was my plant. So when I did that, the bugs would eat the weeds, wouldn't eat my plants. I started noticing I never had bug bites on any of my plants. So I knew I was headed somewhere in the right direction. Excuse me, folks. I can't believe it when I think about it, how simple it was. And that's why I couldn't find it. I couldn't find the answer because it was just so simple. We as humans always try to make stuff complicated. So cut down everything, and then it would grow back, and I would cut down everything, and it would grow back, and it would cut down everything. And then it started to slow down the weeds, just like the normal cycle of your plants do each year. When the sun changes position and the warmth is less, everything grows a lot less. So you cut down the weeds, and I noticed that the weeds were lying on top of the surface, and it was creating this brown mulch. Looked like hay or straw. Straw is a better way to put straw. So it was laying on the surface, and each year I kept doing it. I kept doing it, kept doing it, and kept doing it. And then I noticed that I got the weeds in check. And then they were still growing and they were growing, and I would hack them down and I would throw them in the yard. And then when my plants would finish growing in the fall and winter, which was okra and whatever plants I grew, whether it be cucumbers or watermelon vines or whatever. And some people say, clean all that stuff up. I've heard people, always tell you, clean that stuff up. Throw it in your compost pile. Ah, hi, how you doing? All right, let's finance. Hello. And so what happened was I had all of these weeds lying where they were, and I would leave them there. And in the spring, they wouldn't be there. Later on in the late spring, they wouldn't be there. And the rain and the snow that laid on top of them broke all this stuff down. And it was creating a beautiful tea that was spilling into the ground all fall and winter long. It was spilling into the ground. Everywhere I did the chop and drop, everywhere the weeds were, every single place that I left my debris, which the plants I grew, was falling back into the earth, and it was just doing a beautiful job at fertilizing my soil when it's supposed to be fertilized. And that's what I did. And I just, oh, hello, how you doing? Right. Um, hello, all. Yes. And so when you do that, you start gaining ground. Your soil improves. You see more worms. And I'm gonna tell you something, folks. I don't dig in my soil like I once did. There's too many worms in my soil right now. That wasn't an issue before. I used to never have worms. I used to always say, "Hey, I don't see no worms," and I knew that was a bad sign. I don't see no worms. Wonder why the worms out here? There's no food. You have just clay. The only animals that are in this soil is the ones who can survive off the minimal amount of food that you have in your soil, and that's why you don't see many worms. But worms will be in your soil if you have enough organic matter. Your organic matter brings animals into the area to eat, and the worms eat them, and the worms also eat the organic matter. You need to have organic matter in your soil. You need it there. You need it there. You don't need to have your soil to be just red clay just sitting there, or you got sandy soil just sitting there. You don't need that. You need some organic matter in the soil. And so once I got um, to using the weeds, my soul started doing better. And I understood. Follow Mother Nature's guidelines. Don't follow man. Don't follow man. Man will lead you the wrong way and lead you to using man-made chemicals and sprays and formulas and stuff like that until he ruins your soil. And then you're like saying, I'm going to give this up because it's not growing anything. Of course it's not growing anything. Did you know that most people's soil that are gardeners, their soil has very little life in the soil, period. And you can tell a lot of times by the fact they can't grow anything the way they want to in that with the soil in that condition. If they do grow anything, it's always small and it's dwarfed with the way than what it should be. And that tells you something right there. Um, so chop and drop, as I found, works for me. And that's how that works. That's how that works. 3 years. The second year, the first year, you're not going to. The first year, you're going to chop and drop. You're going to notice it's going to feel like you're just beating your head against the wall. That's what it's going to feel like because it's not. It's going to feel like it doesn't matter. Then um, the second year, you chop and drop. Leave it there right on the soil. Use a weed trimmer. Trim it, trim it, trim it, trim it. Leave it there. Trim it, leave it. And then what you're going to notice, you're going to feel like, oh, I gotta do something. I gotta, leave it there because when you trim it and you cut it down, and you got the roots in the ground from the plants, it's going to generate a beautiful thing. Then you're going to start noticing another thing, and that's going to be you're going to see more worms start appearing on your ground. That's what you're going to see. And when you start seeing the worms there, you're going to say, okay, I'm getting there. The third year, you're going to start seeing major stuff going on because you're going to keep chopping and dropping. Then the fourth year and the fifth year, you're off and running. All you got to do is just have a weed whacker out there or a lawnmower and just run over them weeds and leave them right there. Leave them right there on the ground. You're going to feel like it's not helping. Now, I like to use my my manure fork, because that manure fork, it digs my holes. It does a beautiful job. It does a beautiful job. And when I got to clear the weeds away from where I'm getting ready to plant, after I put that fork in there, and then I grab the weeds up and just shake them off. Throw them over to another part of where I'm not working. I don't get rid of it. I don't put it in a compost pile. I just leave it there for it to decay. And I keep moving them around. That's how I do it, folks. I'm telling you from what works. I got some pretty plants out there this time around. I could say that they're pretty. They're not just surviving. They're pretty. Oh, thank you. Yeah, but I tell you, um, fertilizing from the soil down, chop and drop. That's what we got out of this conversation. Chop and drop. And remember, if when you start working towards getting your rain barrel system set up, get that set up. And remember, you're working on a piece of property or a piece of area that's going to be feeding your family. What's up there? I heard you talking about your raspberries, and I'm overrun with them things here. I'm overrun with them, and I bought two plants about 6 years ago, and now they're everywhere. I don't know how many plants I got now. They about 3 feet tall. They're everywhere, and I just finished watering them and feeding them this morning because I want big berries. I don't want little berries. I don't want berries from a plant that is starving. Because when you give them, a situation where your plants don't eat, um, you have a situation where the berries are not sweet. And I know that because when I first started doing raspberries back in the day, raspberries would grow and I would eat them and I said, wait a minute, these are not sweet. What's going on? Why are they not sweet? And I found out because I wasn't feeding them. So how are they going to generate and build sugars if I'm not feeding them? So Everything looks good now. I have, oh yeah, and something else I want to say about the chopper drop before it slipped my mind. Um, the the worms are leaving tons of worm manure throughout my soil. All the areas where they're what do we call it? Where the chop drop is laid up. It's all this worm manure everywhere. It's like a you can grab a handful of just worm manure throughout my yard. So let me tell you what I saw one time, and some of you probably have seen it, and I feel so sorry for this man, but he's trying to do the best he can. There's a video where the guy is buying worms to add to his soil, and he's got like a bag of he got two bags. I don't know. Don't hold me to this. It's out of 5 or 10 pounds of worms each. Um, uh, he's walking along his property, and he's tossing out handfuls of worms, handfuls of night crawlers, whatever they were, just throwing the worms out. Folks, don't do that. If anybody ever thought about it, don't do that. Don't do that. You can't do it that way, folks. The reason why he doesn't have worms is because of what he's doing to his soil. That's why he don't have worms. He is using either man-made chemicals, or he's tilling, or he's doing both, and that's why the worms aren't there. And he was trying to he figured, but he keep missing pieces of the puzzle. He's figuring, okay, if I put these worms out there, the worms will improve my soil, and everything will be fine. No, that's not how it's going to work. That's not how it's going to work. The worms you put out there will die, and they will be eaten by birds and other animals, and they're not going to stay in that area very long anyway, because there's no environment for them there. That's why they're not going to stay there. Um, but somebody gave him some misinformation, and it goes on a lot like that. I saw the container you had, Lead Farmer 73, and I said he has got to get those raspberries out of that pot, because they got to be root bound. What I saw, it looked like they were root bound. So, but you got it. I know you know what you're doing, and you'll get them off and doing great. And because I did it before. I mean, I bought two little thin little, the Walmart raspberries, which was probably about one plant per box or something like that. Yeah, about one plant per box. And I bought two of them, and I put them in there. And what they do is, when you put them in the ground, they send all these little shoots up through the ground. Underneath, they send it through a root system. I don't know how they do that so well, folks. But raspberries, you can put them in an area. Let's say you put them right to the right of your house. They can start coming up 12, 13, 14 feet away from where you planted these. And they'll be, because they're going to go to the area that they like, where they get warmth and food and sunlight. That's where they're going to go at. And that's what mine did. Mine went to, but you can always pop them out of the ground and move them to where you want them. But they're gonna find their area where they want to go. They're gonna find where they want to go. That's raspberry. Because I planted some in one location and put them all there. I mean, put one there. Two. Well, I had two plants, and they moved all the way over, cross, almost cross the yard to where my what is that tree called? Um, my pear tree. I planted that pear tree there 3 years. I mean, about two or three. Well, no, about 2 years ago. Might be 3 years. I planted them there, and guess what? There's raspberries all around it, because that's where they wanted to go. They went over there, and I started to do what man would tell you to do, which is start pulling them all out, and you can't do that, because they're gonna keep coming back, because that's where they want to be. Now, the ones that were around the tree were the ones last year that gave me my most berries. And the ones that were over there in the shaded area, they didn't give me any berries. But you feed them to get them to produce berries. You don't feed them, they're not going to produce birds. And if they produce birds, they're not going to be very good. Let's say you got taken that soil and mint, the worms and snakes. You know, yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying when I said the environment. That's why the worms are not there. I listen, folks. I had very few worms on my property 10 years ago, and when I did have really big worms, they were over in the clay area. They were big night crawlers, and I swear to anyone, I swear, I think the night crawlers that I used to go over there and dump in the compost pile, which again is an environment. It is an environment where they were suited to go, and the environment was just loaded with leaves and all kinds of grass clippings and everything. And I used to go in that compost pile and grab handfuls of worms that were too big to put on a fish hook. Now they everywhere. Why? Because my soil is rich. I tell people I grow soil. I don't worry about the plants. I take care of the soil. I'm getting really thirsty. I'm gonna go get me something to drink. I'll always get me a little bit of water. I like my little water. Yeah, I think Lake Farm is going to do really well with his plant. I think he's going to do really good with it because he's gonna. All you got to do is just keep checking it, and when you slide that sucker out of that pot sometime tomorrow, whatever, just look at the roots. Just look at them, see what they look like. If they're all root bound, just say to yourself, yeah, I'm getting a bigger pot, or I better put these in the ground because I can't lose these. And if you tear them apart and you're not sure where you want to put them in the ground, you can leave some in a half of them in a pot and half of them in the ground. The ones in the ground, I love what they do though. Once you put them in the ground, you put them in the right spot, they gonna do their own deal. Oh, you can't put them in the ground there. Oh, wow. Okay. Huh. Okay, because I know mine in direct sun, the ones I have, but I don't know anything about the ones that you have, but mine are in direct sun. And those are the ones that mostly give me my berries. Um, they got a whole bunch of information on YouTube. No, excuse me, not YouTube. No, uh, what did they say? Department of Agriculture. A lot of people have them there in their own state and everything. And if you have like um, um, a plant that you're trying to get some information on, where should you grow it? Should it be do? Let's see. No, it's not really. It's uh, southern climate. Okay. Okay, I got you. I got you. Because like right now, uh, there's some things I would like to grow here where I'm located at, and I can't do it unless I go through hell and hot water. I don't want to do that, and that's citric fruits like lemons and things like that. Because of the climate, it's just too cold in the winter. Unless you put it up against a building and create like a thermal climate. But I'm doing good. Everything is great. I took a day off work yesterday. I said, heck with that. I had to get out of that. I said, wow. I said, I gotta get out of here. And got in the yard. Everything is paused, is doing everything. Now, I will go out in the morning uh, and I'll water my plants. And people say, well, you was out there this morning watering. Yeah, I want to be out there again watering. Why? Because um, it's getting hot where when I see the soil dry, now sometimes the soil can be dry on the surface, but I got my own tool that I use to tell whether or not I should water. You got a tool you stick in the ground, but I use this. I stick that up to my knuckle in the ground. If I feel any moisture in the ground, I leave it alone. And that's how I do it. And I fed my peach trees today. I hope that I fed them in time because I'm trying to get that fruit to size up. I don't want it to, because sometimes it'll take on so much and it won't, the fruit won't size up. If you see your fruit sitting there and it's just one side and it's just sitting there and sitting there, you need to do something because it ain't supposed to be doing that. Uh, uh, um, Fruit tree is like a expecting mother. You got to take care of her. You cannot just let her not eat, drink water, and all that. You can't do that. She needs to be cared for. Oh, I'm in zone 7B. I said, okay, I want to ask you a couple of questions about your cucumbers. Are they in a container or in the ground? Okay. Um, let's see. What are you fertilizing them with? Okay, okay. You talk about the fish emulsion. Okay, that's good stuff. Let's see. You putting 1 teaspoon. Excuse me. Was it 1 tablespoon or 1 teaspoon? Look on the bottle. It should be 1 tablespoon per gallon or something like that. And that's how you want to mix that. Sounds like blossom rot. It could very well be blossom and rot. Because I was gonna let's see, because I know what it sounds like to me that you got a lot of watering going on. It's what it sounds like to me. Um, okay, all right, you put the right amount in there. How often are you watering this plant? No, 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 no. I need you to cut that water back. Only water that plant when it needs it. Don't keep watering it. You're drowning the plant. Yeah, you're drowning the plant. Is what you're doing. A lot of us have done it, and one of the most common things that most gardeners do is overwater. So yeah, back off of that. Use this finger here, start putting that down in the soil. And when the soil is moist, don't water it. When that plant gets dry a little bit, there's nothing wrong with letting it dry out a little bit sometimes, as long as you don't let it get too dry. And then you water it. But don't keep watering it because that's part of your issue right there. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Yes. Grow. And you have it in a sunny location? Okay, it's in a sunny location. That's good. I don't know what kind of amendments you put in the soil. Because people put different things in there when they say amendments. Let's see. Can soil be too rich? Can soil be too rich? I don't think it can. What do you mean by too rich? Are you adding something to it? The video soil weakness. That's a good idea. Okay. Peat moss, manure, coffee ground. Okay, right there. Right now you're adding coffee grounds too, and they're making that soil real acidic in that area. Um, yeah, pull back the water, see what you can do. See, not all plants like a lot of acidity, and cucumbers might be one of those. But right offhand, I couldn't tell you that. But just these coffee grounds right here, it's got that popped up, got my attention right there. Peat moss also is an acidifier as well. So you got two acidifiers that you're using in that area where you have this cucumber. So that might be also some issue right there. For cucumbers, you just, regular soil. You put the peat moss in there because I think you're dealing with some heavy clay. That's why you put the peat moss in there. You put the manure in there because you want to add some kind of organic matter to the soil. So yeah, pull off of the water and let's see what we get. And like Lead Farmer said, 73, you get a chance, shoot a video of it, of the area around it, the plant itself, and and go from there. All right. Well, good people, that's my. I'm gonna go get some water. I'm so thirsty right now. But thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. I appreciate it. This is the biggest audience I've ever got. Some of y'all used to getting real big audiences, 35, 100 people in there. I saw a lady today, one of the gardening channels. I don't know her name. Her and her husband and her kids were on there. She had like 230 people in her room. I said, my God, that's an audience, and but I'm working towards it. Someday maybe they'll see me out there and say, wait a minute, this guy, I know him. He wear the glasses. All right, good people, thank you very much. You have a good day. And remember my saying is, which is always keep on growing. All right, thank you. Take care now and have a good day. All right. That sounds like it could be. I didn't see her name right now offhand, but she got a lot of people in the room. All right, good people, take care now.